Now you might be thinking to yourself, didn't we just see a video about a major update to the YoloBox Pro? Well, yeah, you did actually. It was just a week or so ago, and I made that video, and it actually got really good response, so thank you for all for that. But you may remember that in that video, there were a couple of things on the new features that I thought, hey, this would be really good, and maybe we'll see it soon. Turns out I was right, we are seeing them soon. So some of the new things that were put into the new YoloBox version just a couple of weeks ago, they've responded to viewer comments and user comments, and they've put them into another version. So here's 1.7.0. Let's have a look at it. So here's my YoloBox open. I've set up a live stream. I haven't set it live, but I've set that up, and I've got a couple of video feeds coming into it. You're all familiar with that. You've seen enough of these things before. What I'm going to show you is some of the new features and the changes that have made to them. Now, the first one here is the auto switching. I'll just add another video source onto here, actually, another couple of video sources, just so that we've got a little bit more to work with. As you can see, this is really quick to do, and the interface is a lot more responsive. I can just choose a couple of videos like that and set them up as sources, and we're ready to go. Then I can come to the live switching, which is just this button down here, and I can set up my video sources as HDMI 1, 2, 3 and 4. Just a quick note, the order in which you select these is the order in which they will be used and when they'll play in the sort order, in the play order. So I'll click done on that. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in here. So as you can see, if I click on sources here again, by the way, and turn those off, if I go that one, then that one, then that one, then that one, then click done, you can see that these are now in the order in which I selected them. Just something to keep in mind. I'm going to make the times on that a bit quicker so that we can see them switching. I'm just going to put a 5-second delay between them instead of 10 seconds. So that's just as quick as coming in here and scrolling down the number here, just like that. And now we can have a look in here. There's a new switch here, which is loop. This is the one that we wanted to see because it played through the sequence, and then when it was finished, it went back to whatever you had defined under main video source. Now what it does is, if you've got loop on here, it'll start again and it will repeat the sequence. This is exactly what we said we needed this to do as users, and YOLO Live responded real fast and got another change out. You never see this in hardware developers anywhere else, so YOLO Live, fantastic. So now when I come up here and I hit start auto switch, you'll see that the switching here is disabled because the auto switching's on, and every 5 seconds it's going to switch to the next video in the sequence. There's the third one here, which is HDMI 2, and now SD card video 2. There it is, and when it's finished with that one, it'll go straight back to HDMI 1, which is this fella sitting over here. Awesome. I can disable that now, which stops it from running, and there we go. Now another thing we've got down here is there's still a main video source. Obviously if you're in a loop, that doesn't really matter anymore, so what they did is they redefined what that does. Now if you've got a main video source, which I'll set as HDMI 2, what it's going to do is it's going to go HDMI 1, HDMI 2, HDMI 2, HDMI 2. So it will set that in as the every second video source. It's got a little example of it here. So if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, it will go 1, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4. That might take a little bit to wrap your head around if you weren't quite sure, but if you've got the YoloBox, what it means is that every second video that is displayed will be the main video. That's what main video means now. So then it will sequence through the ones you've chosen, and every second one will be going back to the main video. You can also set main video source to none, in which case it'll just play through the sequence. Finally, there's the switching order, which we had before, and you can choose to play that sequential or to play them in a random order. The next thing they did was something that a lot of gamers really wanted. They've added 60 frames per second output. Let's have a look at where you can set that up. All you need to do is click on the settings gear icon down the bottom here, and then scroll right down to the bottom and you'll see encoding settings. So this is going to tell it what encoding level we're using. By default we've got 3 megabits per second and 30 frames per second, which used to be the top limit. Now you can take this all the way up to 60 frames, and there you go. As it says when you get to the end, this is the maximum frame rate supported. You can also increase the bitrate out up to 8 megabits per second, which we've got there. That's the maximum it can do. You can work out the amount of bandwidth you need. So that should keep a lot of gamers happy, and also people doing wildlife and maybe sports broadcasting as well. If you've got the high enough bandwidth and you can get that number of frames per second out, then that's going to look really great when you're streaming. So that's great for gamers. One thing to keep in mind though, if you're going to be shooting and streaming at 60 frames per second, the amount of time that your camera has to get light is going to be halved. So you're going to need to make sure that you've got a camera that has a fast enough lens and a large enough sensor to get enough light in to make sure that your image is the best it can be. Also, with 8 megabits per second with 30 frames, going to 8 megabits per second with 60 frames, you've got half the amount of data available per frame. So while you might have more frames going out, the image could be a little bit more compressed and a little bit softer. That's a balance you're going to have to test and see how it works for whatever it is that you're doing. Increasing from 3 megabits per second to 6 megabits per second though can counter that and still get a great image as long as you got the bandwidth to do it. The next change in 1.7 is we've got some more graphic overlay options, and there's a couple here that we've really been wanting. I'll just click on the plus here to bring up the overlays options, and we've got these two here. We've got titles and social overlays. You'll remember web URL overlays came in the last update. If I click now on the titles, it gives you a few options here of different title types. There's more coming in future updates most likely, but at the moment these are really customizable and you can do all sorts of neat things with them. The welcome to the show one, for example, you can change the text types and colors and everything, the frame color and a dimming color. A dimming color, by the way, is what the background fades into. So if I set that as a yellow, for example, and you've got a yellow background here, if I make it completely opaque there's nothing, or I can make that semi-transparent in the background. You can get all sorts of neat effects and enhance the contrast of your type against the background doing this to make it more readable. Likewise, we've got the plain center title here. We've got this nice angle title, which is really useful if you're doing something where you need some sort of highlight or subtext, something like that up in the middle. The last one here is the logo title, where you can choose a logo image to put on here, have some text that goes underneath it. Once again, you can set the face type and the size and color, transparency of the shadow, and scale it as well. And like a lot of these things, you can move it around the screen just by dragging it here, have it to one side or the other or right in the middle. The titles thing is going to be fantastic for a lot of people because we were just fiddling around and manipulating some of the lower thirds to do that before. Now you don't need to do that. You've got another overlay that you can use and differentiate it with proper styling and do titles properly. The next one we've got here is something that a lot of people wanted, which is a bit of background music for the countdown timers. So I can create a new overlay here and I'll make it a countdown timer and pick one of the two templates. I'll just grab that one, and you'll see at the top here there's this new background music switch. I'll turn that on, and it's got all of the usual formatting and everything that you're used to in here. So I'll just click done, and now what I'll do is I'll play the countdown timer and you can listen to what it sounds like. There you go, just fantastic, nice little piece of background music. Later on maybe they'll let us choose what that music is, or let us change it on the disc or on the SD card. If you want to adjust the audio level, you can just hit the audio button down here and just adjust that with the program out audio and set that on here. Though there shouldn't really be any need to do that at any time. Anyway, so that's what's in 1.7.0. I think this is awesome. I'm hoping to get out a few more videos before they put out another release, so it doesn't look like my channel is just YoloBox updates, though they're really trying to get as many of these out as they can. I believe there's also an update for the YoloBox OG coming soon. I did see one of the YOLO Live people post that into a forum recently, so keep a really close eye out, and don't forget to click here and subscribe so you find out about that as soon as it happens, and watch this video and this video as well, because they're awesome and going to teach you lots of cool stuff about doing stuff on YouTube and really geeky things and all that kind of stuff. And I'll see you in another video soon. That wasn't bad for one breath. See you later.